And on this final video, I'm going to show you the source code just to develop pretty much like an MQTT protocol set up in a particular format that's going to communicate with IBM Cloud, the IBM Watson kind of plug into that platform. So it's a wireless kind of protocol. We're going along the Wi-Fi, so we would need this code to be working alongside the Wi-Fi um, kind of source code that I showed in that other video. So you do need to be connected to the Wi-Fi for this, but I'm just really focusing in on how this protocol is working. And you can see again, we've got it set up into a couple of different sections. We've got our main loop, we've got some sort of a setup, and then we have some declarations here to start. So again, we need some libraries. We need the Wi-Fi library. We'll also need the other stuff from the Wi-Fi source code, but we also have this pub sub client, which is basically like an MQTT protocol that we're setting up. We need to define some variables, and you get this from your IBM Cloud account. You create a device on the Watson platform, that kind of IoT platform, and this will give you these information here. The main thing is, look, you need some sort of topic area that you're printing to, your organization name, and your API key, very important. So you need that API key. You shouldn't share it with anyone else, but that allows you to connect to your devices to your data, and that's like the password for it to get in. So these will need to be set up for your own settings. The other stuff here is okay because your organization will be unique. That will take it from up here, but you'll still need this at the end no matter who you are. Um, and it'll use the token. You'll have your token. It'll create the client ID um, in kind of like a JSON format, I believe. And yeah, the one thing that you will need to change is potentially this line here. So what topic you're publishing to. So if you're doing a couple of different metrics, you may send them to different topics. Topic one may be temperature, topic two may be pressure, humidity, etc. So it's this part in here, depending on what you labeled it in your IBM Watson account, would need to change. So depending on how much data you're sending, you can copy and paste this and just increase the numbers as you see fit, or give them a more unique name with like temperature, humidity in there, and then you could do publication topic, temperature, or something like that. But this part would probably need to be edited to link it to your own, and then the rest can be fairly similar. I'll come back to this long now. We're declaring a kind of long time variable at the moment, and then we're connecting to some sort of a client, Wi-Fi client along a particular port address, so that we can do this MQTT protocol. But a lot of that there you can take for kind of standard and put in some of your own stuff when you get that set up in the IBM Cloud account, which would have been covered in other videos. So then just for your serial setup, along with connecting to the internet, connecting to the Wi-Fi, you're going to connect essentially to your IBM Cloud account. So it will run a particular client connection, and it will try and connect to, using your API key, it will try and connect to the correct device and stuff that it needs to go to. Okay, so it'll continue to loop around there until it gets connected, and then when it is connected, it will say it's connected. Then there's a small delay, and it will go into your main loop, which is down here. Okay. Now, what your main loop does, it repeats. It just delays every 1 second, and then so just short delay at the start, just give it a wee bit of time to catch up, and then it loops through the client. And basically, what it does, this now is being called by a millis function. And basically the millis function just is like a clock running in the background, and it tells us how long the software has been running. So if we take how long it's been running minus the length of time it took us to get the last message, and if we're just saying if there's a 3 second delay between it, we can check for whatever we want to do. Okay, so we're doing a little bit with time, where we're basically just checking if there has been a time delay of 3 seconds. We'll go ahead and call all this stuff here. And you could set that so if you didn't want to be sending data, every second to your cloud account, you'd be using a lot of memory. Maybe every 10 seconds or 30 seconds or every minute, you would just basically change this value here. And we're just doing a comparison on how long has the system been running, when did we last send the last message across the internet, Has that been a delay of 3 seconds? Okay, let's go ahead and put this information in. Okay, so hopefully that makes a bit of sense. But when it's doing that, if there has been a delay in 3 seconds before the last bit of data was transferred, we will go ahead and call all this. So what it does is you've got to set up a string. We're just calling this is the data, the payload. We say the payload is the data that we're sending, and we're sending it in a particular format, in a JSON format. So this is what it looks like here. We've got to add in a particular structure. But essentially, we're saying, okay, we're sending temperature. You could change that to whatever it is. This is your payload. If you're going to duplicate this, you've got to give them all unique names then. So you go up to payload 1, then humidity, and etc., etc. So you can't just keep reusing the same variable. You'd have to create a new one if you were doing that. But basically what we're doing is you're taking that string, setting it up in a particular way, and you're using the variable that you want to send. Okay, so if you're sending humidity, you'd use your humidity variable, you'd use your pressure variable, whatever it is. Then it will try to send that, and you'll see it'll call an MQTT protocol to send that payload, that whole string there. It will try and send it, and if it does get connected to the Watson account and send it okay, it will say it's published okay. If it doesn't, it will say it's failed. So when we're using this when we're trying to transfer this data, depending on how many metrics you're going to send, you're going to copy and paste, this kind of section here multiple times. But you will need to check that you create a new variable each time, so a new payload for the different metrics, and change it as you see fit, and then attach the different variables to that, and then try and send each one of them after another. So this is to show you how to send one metric. It'd be up to you then to try and duplicate that to send another, or multiple, 4 or 5, whatever it is. But that just shows you how we can connect to our IBM Watson account, start to set up this kind of client connection to it, and then send data in a particular format, kind of JSON format along a MQTT protocol that will do it wirelessly across the internet, across the Wi-Fi, and then our IBM Watson account should receive that, and then we can take that a step further with it. Depending on how many measurements you want to send from your microcontroller, you'll need to expand this out. So hopefully with those 3 videos you'll have seen how we can put together basically an embedded system that will connect to Wi-Fi, will connect to a cloud account for us, and will send data up, will publish data up until that. And if you want to add more to it, more sensors or anything like that, you can add in the code and bring it all together. So remember, these are 3 separate videos, 3 separate bits of code that you would join together as one in order to send that data fully up. So hopefully that makes some sort of sense, gives you a bit of a background insight to what each of the functions are doing, or each of the lines of code are doing.